Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. On the third attempt to save Samuel, he abandoned me once more, choosing to give his life for Regina. The system asked, "Would you like to start the fourth round and continue to prevent the fate of the second male lead dying for the heroine?" Before this, I had already spent 12 long years completing the task. I bore countless scars, both seen and unseen. Yet in every loop at the brink of his death, Samuel would hysterically shout at me, "Stay out of my way. If you stop me from saving Regina, I'll hate you for the rest of my life." This time I shook my head. "I'm tired. I won't take the mission again." Acknowledged. Program disconnection will commence in 10 days. During those 10 days, I cut all ties and let go of everything. I no longer cared where Samuel went or what he did. I let him continue drowning in Regina's embrace, claiming that these 10 days without my interference were the happiest of his life. But on the day I left, Samuel returned to find the house emptied. He froze. For the first time, his face turned ashen. His voice trembled as he asked me, "Lisa, where are you going? Are you leaving me? If you leave, what will I do?" Chapter 1. Young man, starting a street stall at such a young age, huh? Kids these days have too much pressure with their studies. It's not surprising they start working early. This was Samuel's second day running a stall selling pancakes and fried dough sticks. He looked too young for the crowd of seasoned vendors around him, elderly men and women who had been in the business for years. Compared to them, he stood out awkwardly. On just his second day, some passers-by began speculating about his backstory. Another young man who couldn't handle school and dropped out to hustle on the streets. But they didn't know the truth. Samuel had willingly given up his studies. He gave it all up for Regina. After the heroine Regina broke up with the protagonist, Ryan, she discovered she was pregnant. Determined to keep the baby, she refused to get a job or ask for help. So Samuel stepped in. He gave up his graduate school placement as a medical student, dropped out, and started a street stall to earn money. He didn't care about the grueling effort he had put into his studies over the past 4 years. "Host, the third attempt at the mission has failed." The system spoke in my ear, its voice tinged with regret. According to the current storyline, Samuel will be fatally stabbed by a group of troublemakers at his stall in 10 days. Would you like to start the fourth loop immediately? Another failure. I had been stuck in this world for 3 loops, each spanning 4 years. 12 years in total, and I still hadn't managed to save Samuel from dying for Regina. I stayed silent for a moment, watching Samuel from a distance as he flushed with embarrassment, apologizing profusely to impatient customers. "I'm so sorry, it's my first time running a stall. I'm still learning. Please bear with me. My honey's pregnant, and I had to start working. Life's hard. So I'd really appreciate your support." I looked down at my own hands, scarred and weathered. These hands had flipped pancakes and fried dough sticks for 4 years. Through freezing winds and endless early mornings, they had helped fund Samuel's college education. And now it had all been traded for a hastily written withdrawal letter. I still remember the year Samuel started college. I stood outside the campus gate, delivering his lunch when I overheard his friends teasing him. "Hey man, you're a top student. Why'd you settle for a girlfriend with just a high school diploma? You could do so much better. And she's just some pancake seller." All they saw was a street vendor who got incredibly lucky to have such a smart, caring boyfriend. What they didn't see were the long days and sleepless nights I spent earning money to support his education and his living expenses. But now Samuel had dropped out of school without hesitation. He treated the 4 years of my hard work and genuine love like a joke, discarding them as if they were nothing. Knowing full well that everything he had, his tuition, his meals, his clothes, came from the money I earned flipping pancakes, he decided to follow my example to earn money for the heroine. I almost wanted to laugh. "System, send me home. I'm done with this mission," I said firmly. The cold mechanical voice responded, "Acknowledged. Program termination is in progress. Host will exit the program on the day of the male lead's death in 10 days. Just as the system finished speaking, I looked up and unexpectedly met Samuel's gaze. The surrounding crowd continued to praise him for being responsible and caring toward his honey, but he stood frozen for a moment before quickly untying his apron and running toward me. "Please let me explain," he said hastily. There were too many people around and I didn't know how else to explain. I had to say Regina was my honey. I didn't mean to. I smiled faintly and interrupted him. It's okay. This time, his voice caught unexpectedly in his throat, silencing him mid-sentence. Chapter 2. After a long silence, he finally spoke again. Honey, I'm glad you understand me. I watched his back as he hurriedly returned to his pancake stall, and I couldn't help but feel an urge to laugh. In his world, the 4 years of our shared struggles were nothing compared to the child Regina was having with another man. So this was what it meant to understand him. At noon, he had to deliver a meal to Regina. Since becoming pregnant, Regina had moved out of the university dormitory and was now living in a small apartment off campus. The rent was paid by Samuel. He carefully packed a nutritious meal, but when he turned around, he saw me eating a dry, stale steamed bun. Perhaps out of guilt, he uncharacteristically explained himself. Regina is pregnant and needs proper nutrition. Don't worry, honey. Once she has the baby, I promise you won't have to eat like this anymore. Originally, our life didn't need to be this tight. But Samuel had chosen a high-end apartment for Regina. The monthly rent, utilities, and property fees were far beyond what we could comfortably afford. Honestly, I could understand his reasoning. Samuel had admired Regina since high school. Now, in his senior year of college, he finally had the chance to take care of her. He had given his whole heart to Regina, so it made sense that he'd economize with me. In his mind, Regina came first. He was second. I was last. Suddenly, I felt an overwhelming urge to slap myself. This cursed mission, I had stuck with it for 3 entire loops. I had wasted 12 years of my youth before finally waking up. But fortunately, I had come to terms with it now. No need. Newborn expenses will be even higher than those for a pregnant woman, I said calmly. You should save more money and prepare for the future. With that, I set down the hard, dry bun and turned to go back to my room. This time, Samuel stood frozen in place, staring at me in disbelief. Worried that his precious Regina might go hungry, Samuel quickly headed out. Not long after, I received a message from him. Honey, are you mad at me? Mad at him? No. At this point, I was only mad at myself. Why had I wasted so much time before finally giving up on this mission? In the first loop, I had gone to the same medical university as him, and the heroine, Regina, struggling academically, became a victim of a predatory professor. Samuel, furious, decided to take matters into his own hands and dragged me along to confront the professor. But the professor turned out to be a lunatic. He pulled a knife and held both me and Regina hostage. Without hesitation, Samuel rushed to save Regina. In the ensuing chaos, I ended up with a cut on my arm while he was fatally stabbed in the chest. The second male lead died, the mission failed, and I moved into the second loop. In the second loop, I became their classmate again. In our senior year, Regina missed out on a guaranteed graduate placement by just 1 point. Samuel knelt before me, begging me to give up my spot for her. When I asked him why he couldn't give up his own spot, he explained it was because he wanted to stay in graduate school to continue taking care of Regina. I refused. Furious, he drank himself into a stupor and went out. That night, at a quiet intersection, he was hit by a car and died instantly. I asked the system why his death always seemed so coincidental. The system told me that as long as Samuel's heart remained with Regina, he would never escape his fate of dying for her. So in the third loop, I gave up on academics entirely. I worked tirelessly for 4 years, hoping my sacrifices would show him my devotion. But now I know the truth. All this time I had been nothing more than a fool, exposing my heart to someone who didn't care. The messages kept coming. Honey, Regina's health is fragile. Last time I delivered her meal late, she nearly fainted and had to go to the hospital. Her life is at stake. I can't not worry about her. When her pregnancy progresses, there will be even more expenses. Honey, have you considered helping me with the stall again? I closed my eyes, turned off my phone, and didn't reply. The day he officially dropped out of school, we had a huge argument. I shut down my stall as well. I had worked to give him a better future. And now he wanted me to continue sacrificing for a woman who had nothing to do with me. I called on the system. After I fail the mission, will another transmigrator be sent to change Samuel's fate? The system's mechanical voice responded coldly. No. If the host doesn't start the fourth loop, the world will freeze and the second male lead will permanently die in 10 days. Perfect. A strange, bitter satisfaction welled up inside me. If he loved dying for the heroine so much, then let it be. Never again. Chapter 4. It wasn't until late that evening that Samuel returned. But he wasn't alone. He was supporting Regina, her swollen belly prominent under the dim light. I frowned as I noticed the bandages wrapped around Samuel's arm. Before I could say anything, Regina rushed over, tears streaming down her face. "Lisa, it's all my fault. I'm so sorry. I accidentally set the frying pan on fire, and he got hurt trying to protect me." I focused on the bandages, noticing patches of burnt, blackened skin that weren't fully covered. This was the hand of someone trained in medicine. If it had been before, I would have spent the entire night crying over his injury. But now I simply said, "Oh," with indifference. "Lisa." Samuel hesitated nervously, glancing at me. "Regina's place caught fire. Could she stay with us for a few days?" "Just a few days, I promise. Once her apartment is repaired, she'll leave immediately." His tone was careful, almost pleading, as though afraid I might blow up. After all, in the past we had argued countless times because of Regina. But this time I interrupted him. "Fine." Samuel froze in place, his expression stunned. He opened his mouth, about to say something, but a voice from behind him cut him off. "Oh, Lisa, you're so understanding after all." Regina tugged at Samuel's sleeve and added with mock surprise, "You made her sound so unreasonable in private. But clearly she's not like that at all." She shot him a playful glare before turning back to me with a sweet smile. "Lisa, thank you so much. Once you two get married, I'll make sure he treats you well. If you ever feel wronged, make sure to tell me. He wouldn't dare disobey me," Regina said sweetly, her tone dripping with false sincerity. She ended her statement with a sugary smile, as if everything was perfectly natural. I stared back at her expressionless. Even after 3 loops, I realized I still couldn't stomach her overly manipulative demeanor. A wave of genuine disgust rose from deep within me. I let out a cold chuckle and ignored them, heading back to my room to continue packing my things. After all, there were only 10 days left until I left this world for good. I planned to use that time to return everything that tied me to this life. And perhaps to quietly celebrate that I'd never have to see this perfect couple again. Samuel quickly followed me, stopping right in front of me. "Honey, why are you packing your things?" He seemed anxious, probably assuming I was upset with him again. "I already told you," he said hurriedly. "In a few days I'll send Regina back to her place." But before he could finish, a loud slam echoed from the living room. Regina was angry. I knew exactly why. This had happened in the previous 2 loops as well. It was all because Samuel, in front of her, had called me honey. And that was something Regina couldn't stand. I chuckled softly and counted to 2 in my head. Sure enough, 2 seconds later, Samuel realized what was happening. Panicked, he turned and dashed out of the room. As he ran, he kept calling out, "Regina!" How predictable. There you have it. No matter the time or place, his first choice would never be me. Once the house was finally quiet again, I dialed the landlord's number. "Hello," I said calmly, scanning the room. I took in the sight of this small home that Samuel and I had shared for the past 4 years. Starting next month, I won't be renewing the lease. Chapter 5. Regina ended up staying in our home. In the center of the living room, the couple photos of me and Samuel were replaced by her solo artistic portraits. The cabinets I had picked out were now covered with her favorite cartoon stickers. Even the corner of the balcony I loved most had been transformed into Regina's cozy little study. I watched him rearrange everything like I was observing a circus performance. Once he was done with the redecorating, he spent yet another significant amount of money. After meticulously preparing Regina's custom meal plans every day, he reduced himself to eating leftovers. I watched it all, taking everything in, but I didn't contribute a single penny to help him. It was fine. The more her things filled this home, the less he'd notice my belongings disappearing little by little. And he certainly wouldn't realize that his life was ticking down toward its end. Samuel, just go ahead and die. With that thought in mind, I maintained my calm day by day, leaving early and coming back late. I had saved a small amount of money from my stall before, and I was determined to spend it all within these 10 days. If I didn't use the money, I certainly wouldn't leave it for them. On the 7th day of the countdown, I ran into Samuel outside a fancy restaurant. He froze for a moment, his expression stiff and uneasy, but he quickly forced a smile. "Honey," he said hesitantly, "you've been out a lot these past couple of days. Is this the kind of place you've been going to?" I walked past him without a word. He looked stunned for a moment before quickly catching up to me. "I've been busy tidying up the house these past few days, and I haven't been able to spend time with you," he said, taking my hand. His tone softened. "Honey, do you like this restaurant? Once we have more money, I'll take you here every day." I stared at his face, feeling an urge to laugh. I still remember the year we were at our poorest. It was his first year of college, and my business wasn't doing well. While I was running around trying to make ends meet, haggling with vegetable vendors over a single dime, he used his savings to take Regina to this very restaurant. I had no money to eat, but he had a beauty in his arms. "But Lisa," he began earnestly, "our finances are tight right now. You know pregnant women have high expenses. Regina was raised in comfort and can't endure hardship. Let's wait until things get better before indulging. Okay?" His gaze was sincere as he looked at me. Thanks to him, I was suddenly yanked out of the flood of humiliating memories that had been consuming me. I nodded. "This restaurant is indeed excellent," I said. Then I pulled my hand away from his. "I'll make sure to visit it often and enjoy it." Samuel froze in place. He stared at me, incredulous, opening his mouth several times to speak but ultimately falling silent. After a moment of awkward tension, he raised his arm, showing me the burn marks on his wrist. "Honey, this is from when I burned myself flipping pancakes to earn money. It's been days and you haven't even noticed." He probably thought I'd feel sorry for him like I always had. But what did that have to do with me? He was flipping pancakes and earning money, but not for me. I let out a disdainful laugh and rolled up my sleeve, revealing old scars from severe burns that had long since healed but left lasting marks. "Samuel, have you forgotten I've done this for far longer than you and I've suffered far more? Yes, I started running a street stall when I was 18. Thrown into the adult world at such a young age, I endured hardships I couldn't even bear to recall. And yet he had burned away the fruits of my 4 years of sacrifice, and now he expected me to feel sorry for him." Sure enough, his face turned deathly pale the next moment. "Honey, I knew it. You're still mad at me. Tell me what I can do to make it up to you. Don't stay angry. It's bad for your health." Before he could finish, his phone rang suddenly. His phone was always set to speaker mode, so the moment he answered, I clearly heard the voice on the other end. "Samuel, there's a mouse in the house. I'm so scared. Can you come back and keep me company?" I smiled faintly. Perfect timing as my rideshare arrived just then. "Go ahead. Don't let her worry," I said lightly. I had long since stopped needing him. I opened the car door, got in, and waved at him as if bidding a casual farewell. As expected, without even hesitating for 2 seconds, Samuel turned his back on me, hopped onto his bike, and rushed off toward home. He pedaled too quickly, oblivious to whatever lay on the road ahead. His bike hit something and he tumbled hard to the ground. The system's voice chimed in right on cue. "Countdown to the second male lead's death, 7 days. During this period, his risk of accidents will increase due to the death timer's influence. This is considered normal. Please do not worry, host." Of course I wouldn't worry. I had no intention of having anything more to do with Samuel. He was busy rushing home to take care of his precious white moonlight, while I was about to enjoy an exciting night out in the city. Even though sometimes when I returned home, I'd see Regina pouting and demanding that he feed her. Or at night, he'd be called away by a single text from her saying she'd had a nightmare, and he wouldn't return until morning. I couldn't even remember how many times I had been met with Regina's deliberately smug, taunting gaze. But I no longer cared. All I focused on now was tearing another page off the calendar each day, silently counting down to the end. 7 days. 6 days. 5 days. It had been days since I last spoke to Samuel, and he hadn't spoken to me either. Perhaps he was sulking as well, expecting me to be the first to break the silence. After all, this was our first long Cold War. He wanted me to cave first. But on the 3rd day of the countdown, Regina kissed him right in front of me, throwing her arms around his neck as if she owned him. I pretended not to see. That's when Samuel finally panicked. For the first time, he shoved Regina away and cornered me in my room. Lisa, what's your problem? Do you have to act like this? What did I do wrong? What have I done that's so unforgivable to make you treat me like this? I coldly shook off his hand. He was the one who ruined his future for someone else. He was the one who got intimate with someone else. Without love, even speaking to him felt like a disgrace to myself. Now all I wanted was to get through these final 3 days without any more trouble. But before I could fulfill that wish, Regina came looking for trouble herself. And the cause? That kiss. Chapter 6. On the second to last day, I had barely left the house when I received a call from Regina. She told me that something seemed to be missing from the house while both Samuel and I were away. Lisa, she said sweetly, I know you installed a camera in the living room, but I don't know how to use it. Can you come back and help me? I had no choice but to return. But as soon as I got home and turned on the footage, the first thing that appeared on the screen was the scene from yesterday, Regina and Samuel being intimate on the living room sofa. She was curled up in Samuel's arms, pouting and demanding he feed her. Samuel, is Lisa upset with you these past few days? Is it because of me? Should I go apologize to her? At the mention of me, Samuel's movements noticeably stiffened. His tone turned cold. No need. She's ignoring me, and honestly that's better. Without her nagging me, these past few days have been the happiest I've had. Expressionless, I turned off the footage and glanced at Regina, who was smiling beside me. So you do know how to work the camera? Showing me this on purpose, was it fun? Regina blinked innocently. Now that it was just the two of us, she dropped her pretense, her smile fading into a smug, unfiltered look of provocation. Lisa, it's been 4 years and you still haven't won his heart. Sorry to tell you this, but he's mine now. She rested a hand on her slightly swollen belly, her tone dripping with condescension. After all, I don't want to raise this child alone. I let out a cold laugh, unwilling to argue with her. I grabbed my coat, ready to head out. As if on cue, the door lock turned just then. Samuel must have come back. Just as I was about to leave, a sudden force yanked me back violently. A knife was pressed against my neck. Guess, Samuel. Will he believe you or will he believe me? I froze in shock. Regina, are you insane? I shouted angrily. Put the knife down. But she didn't listen. Instead, the blade pressed harder, breaking my skin. Blood trickled down, staining the edge of the knife. You were so proud yesterday, weren't you? Her voice grew agitated. When I kissed him and he ran to find you. Did that make you feel superior? Her tone was shrill, nearly hysterical. Well, today I'll show you who really matters in his heart. The sound of the lock turning echoed through the room. Samuel burst in, looking frantic. Regina, what's missing? But the moment he stepped inside, he froze. What he saw was me on the ground, Regina standing over me, and a bloodied knife lying nearby. Samuel! Regina's face instantly changed as she threw herself into his arms, tears streaming down her cheeks. I was wrong, Samuel. I'll never stay here again. My stomach. It hurts so much. Please help me, Samuel. I loosened my hand from the wound on my neck and glanced up at Samuel. When our eyes met, I couldn't help but find the situation darkly amusing. Samuel, I said softly, my voice steady despite the pain. The blood on that knife, it's mine. I'm the one bleeding. For a fleeting moment, I hoped he'd understand what truly mattered and prioritize the situation. I believed that even if it weren't love, if it were just a random decent human being, they would have realized that my situation was far more critical. But Samuel didn't. Panicking, he dialed 120 and reported that there was a pregnant woman experiencing sudden abdominal pain. Then he anxiously held Regina in his arms. Regina, what happened? I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Regina sobbed. I accidentally messed with the camera settings and Lisa got mad. Samuel glanced at the monitor. When he looked back at me, his gaze turned colder, almost icy. Lisa, is this fun for you? I've told you so many times, once her apartment is fixed, I'll send her back. How can you be so vicious as to hurt a pregnant woman? How ridiculous. So utterly ridiculous. I pressed a hand to my bleeding wound, silently asking, System, am I in danger? The mechanical voice replied as usual. Host, please rest assured. You do not belong to this world, so your life is not at risk. Good. I closed my eyes with a bitter smile and threw out my final words. Samuel, she'll be fine. I'll be fine too. The one who's dying is you. You've got 2 days left. When you're gone, I'll be thrilled. The room fell into immediate silence. What I didn't see was how Samuel's expression shifted as he heard my words. For a long moment he just stared at me, unmoving. But I didn't bother to open my eyes. I was so tired. 12 years of this task. I was exhausted beyond words. Let it all end already. Chapter 7. 12 years ago, I accepted this task for the first time. The system warned me it would be highly challenging, but it also promised I could study the medical major I had always dreamed of. The refusal that had risen to my lips transformed into agreement. Back when I was filling out college applications, I had missed the cutoff for medical school by a single point and was reassigned to another major. Becoming a doctor had always been my dream, the greatest regret of my life. So when I was placed into that high school and first met Samuel, I couldn't have been happier. Let's study together and get into a good university, okay? He looked at me, the new transfer student, with a surprised expression. You don't hate me? Samuel had a hard time in high school. He was often bullied by the class troublemakers. They mocked him because he was a top student, poor and overly honest. Rumors, pranks, and outright harassment. All of it turned the entire class against him. Except for Regina, who occasionally spoke to him out of politeness. I smiled and kicked away the trash those bullies had thrown onto his desk. What's there to be afraid of? I'm here to help you. Do you believe me if I say I'm a goddess? With me here, no one will dare bully you again. I used my privileges as a time traveler and requested the system lift Samuel's bad luck. He was a clever person. Once he noticed the change, he naturally figured out it was because of me. He began to rely on me. During that time, Regina often tried to chat with him, but he always put me first. Every time he'd look into my eyes with such warmth before firmly telling her, I want to get into the same university as Lisa. I want to be with her forever. At the time, I proudly boasted to the system. This is it. Highly challenging system. I'm amazing at this. I thought Samuel had already given up on the female lead and fallen for me instead. I believed I had completed the task and secured my dream of studying medicine. No one could have been happier than me. So I poured my heart out to Samuel, giving him the deepest feelings I had hidden within myself. I wanted to thank him. I believed he had made all of this possible for me. He was the one who gave me the chance to fulfill my dream, and he was the one who gave me love that seemed unconditional. Back then, I so desperately hoped for a future with him that I would constantly tweak photos of my favorite ring designs, setting them as his phone wallpaper, dreaming of the day he would propose. But the first cycle ended so abruptly with him sacrificing himself to save Regina. I couldn't accept it. I refused to accept it. So, when the task failed, I started a new cycle again and again. But the span of 12 long years blurred the lines for me. I couldn't tell if it was love or mere obsession anymore. In this cycle, I even gave up my dream of studying medicine, all just to tell him, I love you. I wanted to beg him to say it back and admit that he loved me too. Like that evening in high school under the beautiful sunset during self-study, he had declared then that we would get into the same university, that we would always be together, that he loved me. But I failed. System, I apologize for my recklessness before. I chuckled softly. It does live up to the title of extremely challenging. This task, I'm not doing it anymore. The vow of forever was broken by him first, so let me be the one to finish it. At least that would give these 12 years an ending, a sense of closure for myself. I spent an entire day in the hospital. On the morning of my discharge, with thick bandages wrapped around my neck, Samuel came to pick me up. His tone was cautious, almost tentative. Let's go home, honey. The doctor checked. Regina's fine. You're the one who's seriously hurt. I know you blame me for not protecting you first. When we get home, can you let me apologize properly? Eva. I've reflected on myself. And I made Regina move out. I looked at him surprised. Regina had moved out. Had he really let Regina move out? Perhaps my gaze was too direct because Samuel blushed instantly and began speaking quickly. Actually, I went back and checked the footage that same day. Regina tried to delete it, but I got to it first. I saw that she deliberately stabbed you. Really, I've already contacted the moving company. Her things will never appear in our home again. From now on, let's live peacefully together. Okay. Samuel's words became more and more rushed, his eyes reddening as his tone turned almost pleading. At the same time, the cold mechanical voice echoed once more. Attention host. Detachment from the world will occur in 1 hour. Please confirm again if you wish to abandon activating the 4th cycle and leave the second male lead's death fate unchanged within 1 hour. I stayed silent for a long moment before reaching out to take Samuel's hand. Yes. That single word answered both Samuel's invitation and the system's question. Samuel. Soon we'll never see each other again. Chapter 8. 10 days of free time and I wasted one lying in the hospital. I followed Samuel back home. Sure enough, the moving company was parked at the entrance. Boxes and belongings piled up everywhere. Regina was sitting on the steps, her swollen belly prominent. As soon as she saw us, she rushed over. Samuel, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Don't kick me out. I have nowhere to go. I'll die out there. She cried with pitiful desperation, her tear-streaked face eliciting sympathy. I'm pregnant, Samuel. Didn't you say you'd take care of Regina forever? Didn't you promise that once the child was born, you'd treat it as your own? Do those promises mean nothing? I stood aside with my arms crossed, watching her performance. Her words were probably true. Samuel must have said those things to her before. But he was always someone who broke his promises. In every previous cycle, he had sworn to love and cherish me forever. Not one of those vows ever came true. I was used to it by now, but that didn't make it any less disgusting. Leave, Samuel said coldly, avoiding her gaze. Regina suddenly collapsed to the ground, clinging tightly to his legs. Seeing the two of them entangled, Samuel cast me a dark, conflicted look. Honey, go inside first, he said softly. I'll get rid of her soon, I promise. Fine by me. I didn't care to watch their drama any longer. Yawning, I stepped inside. Attention host. Countdown at 20 minutes. Please finalize your farewell to this world. I sat idly on the couch, glancing around the nearly barren room. With Regina's belongings gone, it was clear how little was left in this house. All my things had been collected and disposed of days ago. Do I really have to spell it out for you, Regina? Haven't you caused enough trouble? Yesterday at the hospital, I saw the texts on your phone. Ryan already promised to take responsibility for you and the child. Regina, what do you think that makes me? The chaos outside spilled into every word. So that's how it was. In every cycle, the male and female leads always found their way back to each other. It didn't matter what I did. Samuel was always reduced to a tragic side character sacrificing himself for Regina. This time, while the process was messy, the outcome remained the same. The leads reconciled. Perhaps it was divine will. I let out a quiet laugh. Was I laughing at them or at myself? Samuel, like me, gave everything and ended up with nothing. Serves him right. But as I laughed, I suddenly realized something. It had been a long while since there was any sound from outside. When I looked up again, Samuel was already inside the house. His face was pale as a sheet. He glanced around the room, taking in everything. Before, Regina had filled the house with her things. Now that they were gone, the emptiness was undeniable. Finally, he noticed. This home was nearly bare. And there was nothing of mine left. Honey, he stammered, his voice shaking. Where are your things? I replied casually. Got rid of them. Trash. I didn't want it anymore. His face turned even paler. He swallowed hard, trying to stay composed. That's fine, honey. If you didn't want them, of course it's better to throw them away. When we have money, we'll buy new ones, better ones. I looked at him silently. The system chimed in. Countdown. 10 minutes remaining. Suddenly, Samuel seemed to panic. Like a magician pulling a trick, he produced a small box from behind his back. He opened it, revealing a beautiful ring inside. Honey, look, he said, his face slick with cold sweat. I bought this for you. I was planning to propose to you after we got through this busy time. But, he chuckled bitterly, there have been so many misunderstandings between us. Honey, will you marry me? Without waiting for my reply, he grabbed my hand hastily, trying to slide the ring onto my finger. Countdown. 9 minutes remaining. Samuel's hands began to tremble suddenly. The ring slipped from his grasp and rolled onto the floor. Panicking, he bent down to pick it up, only to hit his head on the edge of the coffee table. Finally retrieving it, he knelt before me, his hands shaking violently as he slipped the ring onto my finger. Honey, do you like it? He looked at me with eyes full of hope. Countdown 8 minutes. His body stiffened again. Honey, he practically shouted, tears streaming down his face in an instant. I'm sorry. I know I've done so many terrible things. I'm sorry, honey. Honey, we'll have a future together. We'll start over, won't we? Countdown 7 minutes. The entire time I just watched him silently. With every broadcast from the system, his panic grew more evident. I simply smiled, saying nothing. But now I suddenly felt like asking him something. Samuel. I touched the ring on my finger and smiled. You remembered the style I liked. The ring was the same design I had set as his phone wallpaper during the first cycle. So he actually remembered. He heard. Countdown 6 minutes. I reached up to touch Samuel's face. Do you regret it? You died for her twice and now you're about to die a third time. In the first cycle, the police were almost there. If you had chosen to save me first, the professor's knife wouldn't have pierced your heart. In the second cycle, if you hadn't fought with me, if you hadn't gotten drunk, you wouldn't have died in that car accident. Samuel, have you never regretted it? His face turned even paler. But he didn't deny it, nor did he question it. He remembered everything from the 3 cycles. But he still chose to treat me as a clown, a joke to toy with. Countdown 5 minutes. Honey, listen to me. He clutched my hand tightly, so firmly that it hurt. This is the last time, honey. Tears fell from his eyes one by one. In high school, I was bullied. Regina was the only one who helped me. When I was beaten in the restroom, she was the one who told the teacher. For 3 years, she saved me 3 times. Until you appeared. So, his hands trembled violently again. For so many years, my feelings for her weren't fake. But now I only want to repay the debt for those 3 times she saved me. There's no future for us anymore. Countdown 4 minutes. I laughed softly, almost incredulously. I remembered how back in the first cycle, I used my authority as a traveler to remove Samuel's fate of being bullied. The system had reprimanded me harshly for it. The mission wasn't even complete, and I had already used a privilege. There was a price for doing so, and the price was that even if I succeeded in completing the mission, I would receive no reward. But I didn't care anymore. Being able to study medicine in this world was my lifelong dream. It was reward enough. I had loved Samuel deeply. Once I had everything. But dreams always end. No matter how long you linger in them, when you wake up, you should never stay attached. Countdown 3 minutes. Please take note, host. I gently slid the ring off my finger and placed it back in the box. Samuel, when I asked if you regretted it, I really meant to tell you, I don't. And now I sincerely hope for your death. Samuel suddenly pulled me into his arms. No, honey, don't leave me. We will have a 4th cycle, right? You were lying earlier, weren't you? We'll have a future, won't we? His embrace tightened unbearably. Hot tears fell onto my shoulder. The system's glowing ring appeared, descending over me. He froze, staring at me in shock. Countdown 2 minutes. Error. System notification. Task completed. The male secondary character will no longer sacrifice himself for the female lead. Congratulations, host. You are the first to complete the task in the final 2 minutes of the countdown. You are now eligible to confirm your exit and receive rewards. Your use of traversal privileges in this cycle will incur no penalties. A bug has been identified. Upon reboot, the male secondary character may retain memories. Thank you for reporting this. The system will recalibrate accordingly. Countdown 1 minute. Do you confirm your departure from the world? I smiled and answered without hesitation. Confirm. Samuel was completely silent now. His hands flailed helplessly, trying to grasp something, anything. But the glowing ring had already created an impenetrable barrier. He fell to the ground, curling up in a pitiful heap. The ring's light shielded me from everything, even sound. All I could see was his devastated expression and his mouthing words. It seemed to be, "Don't leave me. Please, I beg you, honey. Don't leave me." System confirmation complete. Host number 4572 has successfully completed the task and confirmed departure. The world has been frozen. Congratulations on completing a high-difficulty strategy task. Welcome to your next journey. System number 3 is delighted to continue serving you. All the worlds disappeared. Before me was the same passageway I had arrived through. Walking forward would take me back to my real home. Back to my reality where I'd have to face the major I didn't like, work at a job I despised, and endure my parents forcing me into endless blind dates. But suddenly it all became clear to me. Even when I studied medicine, I would have discovered many things that didn't match my idealized vision. The beautiful university I dreamed of also had its share of hidden rules and corruption. The man I thought I loved deeply turned out to be nothing more than a skilled actor. I thought I had gained everything, but now looking back, maybe my real life wasn't so bad after all. People always romanticize the paths they haven't taken, unaware that their current path still holds many flowers waiting to be discovered. It was a pity, though, that Samuel inexplicably had a change of heart at the last second and severed his connection to the female lead. He didn't die after all, but that no longer mattered to me. Slowly, I walked toward the light ahead. Reality, here I come.